Good afternoon, everyone. I would like to take a moment to thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to meet with us today. My name is Ashley Moore, and I am the project manager appointed by Sinatra Digital Corporation to lead a team of highly skilled individuals on the creation of a training program that has been designed to reinforce the 8 competencies that were identified by the recently conducted Organizational Needs Assessment. The objectives of this training program are to reinforce the mission statement, vision, and strategic goals of Sinatra Digital, enhance skills of the workforce, and improve teamwork and coordination. This training program will allow for Sinatra Digital to remain competitive in the digital music market and bring them closer to their mission of being a leader in high-production digital music. First and foremost, I would like to introduce you to our project management team. We have our software designers, Taylor Beddick and Daniela Peterson, and our trainers, Mallory Kemp and Madison Shayak. Today we are going to present to you our midway status report to keep you informed on the progression of our project. To start, Taylor will discuss which parts of the project have been completed to date. Next, Madison will provide an overview of constraints that have been identified within our project. I will then provide our progress on milestones, followed by Mallory, who will discuss our next steps. Finally, Daniela will identify the potential risks that we could encounter during the development and implementation of training. First, we will start with Taylor.
Thank you, Ashley. As we enter month 3 of this project, we can track our progress with the attached Gantt chart. So far, we have completed the initiation stage and are moving towards the completion of the planning stage. We started the project by developing the project charter, which outlined and highlighted the background of the project, allowed us to develop project objectives, and determine the rules, roles, and responsibilities of each team member. During this phase, we also completed our work breakdown structure, which allowed us to determine major and sub-deliverables and sequence them into work packages, which were used to complete this phase by creating our Gantt chart. This has created a baseline for us to follow and the ability to track our progress and the completion of tasks, and helps us meet our deadlines during and throughout the entire project. It allows us to see any parallel activities that can be done at the same time and highlights what needs to be done prior to other activities. As we progressed into the planning stage, we created budgetary estimates within the maximum budget provided of $600,000. These encompassed both the budget for the resources required, such as the training resources, online platforms, and e-learning software, and a secondary budget that included the wages and compensation for this project team. It is currently estimated to run below budget, and checkpoints are in place to monitor the budget throughout the entire project, and Mallory will go more in depth on this later during the presentation. Next, the trainers have created a brief lesson plan that outlines key learnings, resources, and requirements, as the software developers have worked on the e-learning software purchased. Additionally, during this stage, all employees have been scheduled to attend the in-class training during specific scheduled times in the booked training rooms. Finally, the scope statement was completed, submitted, and revised during this time period, and it encompasses the work breakdown structure, budget, and objectives previously mentioned, with the addition of key milestones, a risk assessment, and more. We have provided you with the most recent version, and this includes the revisions made that Danielle will highlight later on during this presentation. Overall, we are progressing as planned, with some tasks taking longer than estimated and others taking not as much time as we scheduled. This has allowed us to remain on schedule and continue to follow the critical path of the project to meet our deadlines and milestones. Next, we have Madison discussing the constraints and their impact on the project.
Some constraints we identified within the project include scope, time, and budget. When the project began, our scope was too broad and needed to be revised. It was not focused enough and lacked clear deliverables. After a tracked revision to the project charter, we are back on track and are continuing to hit our deliverables. In regard to schedule, we are currently staying within our allocated time frame and are continuing to meet our deliverables. When we designed our schedule, we included a buffer to leave room for any issues that may arise. To ensure we keep on schedule going forward, the team continues to stay connected and notify each other of any issues or changes to our timeline. With this type of monitoring, we have the ability to be proactive and make changes if needed. Finally, we continue to stay within the allocated project budget. However, as we approach the execution stage, we need to monitor our work more closely as this phase requires more resources and time. A close eye will be kept on this to ensure we stay within the target and have the ability to make changes if needed. Overall, when we set up our project, we came in below the project budget and hope to stay within this by the end of the project. I will now pass it over to Ashley to go over the milestones with you.
As for our milestones, we are happy to report that we are right on target and are keeping in line with our projected dates. We are progressing as planned and in accordance with our time, scope, and budget. Up to this point, we have completed the project charter, Gantt chart, technology platform, budget, training schedule, lesson plan, and training groups. Our next step is to deliver Tier 1 of training, and we expect to have this completed by our projected date of August 31st. Following Tier 1, we will deliver Tier 2 and Tier 3 and expect to have all training complete by November 30th, 2020. After this, we plan to deliver our tests and surveys, certify our employees, and receive feedback on training program that was delivered. We are highly optimistic that we will be able to achieve our goal of a December 20th project completion date.
There are lesson plans for Tier 1 training, Tier 2 training, and Tier 3 training. Tier 1 training will be completed by all employees, and they will focus on the following competencies: understanding corporate vision, understanding strategy and goals of the organization, and lastly, communication. Understanding the corporate vision, strategy, and goals will be completed online, whereas communication training will be in-class learning. Tier 2 is completed by all management level employees. This training covers the competencies teamwork, customer focus, and innovation. Teamwork and innovation will be covered in class. The customer focus competency will be covered through e-learning. The final tier is Tier 3. This tier focuses on adaptability and technical expertise. Adaptability will be taught in class, and technical expertise will be taught through e-learning. When learning technical expertise, they will learn through multiple different music software programs. The next slide will discuss the schedules for this training. The training schedule for this project begins with a training for Tier 1. Tier 1 consists of 3 competencies: understanding corporate vision, understanding the strategy and goals of the organization, and communication. This training begins on July 7th and ends on August 31st. Tier 2 training covers the competencies teamwork, customer focus, and innovation. This training is set to begin on September 8th and will finish on the 30th of September. The last tier, Tier 3, covers the competencies of adaptability and technical enterprise. This training is to begin on October 14th and will end on November 16th. This allows a window of time for employees to make up missed training as the training ends on December 20th. The evaluation plan consists of 11 steps. The first steps are completed by the trainers, and they are: develop the questions for the test, prepare the test, and administer the test. Once the tests are complete, the next steps are to collect the results, certify the employees, and input the results. The next steps are then completed by the project team. Together, the project team will analyze the results, interpret the data, and debrief. The last 2 steps are completed by the project manager. The project manager will prepare a report from the results and distribute this report to shareholders. The overall budget for the project is $600,000. The cost for the project manager, software designers, and trainers has been taken into consideration, and the total project team budget is $425,100. The next consideration is the resources needed. This involves an online web platform with desired e-learning software, in-class training material, and Tim Hortons catering. The total resource budget is just under $49,500. With the project team budget and the resources added together, it results in a total budgeted expense of roughly $474,600. This leaves us with a surplus of roughly $125,400. Moving forward, we will continue to track the budget so we stay on track and do not go over budget. Next, Daniela will discuss the potential risks to the project.
We have identified a number of risks that could be encountered during the development and implementation of the training. I am outlining both the risks as well as the mitigation plans that have been developed to address each risk. There is a risk that the training will exceed the time that has been allotted. We are mitigating this by planning for the training to be done 2 weeks ahead of time as a buffer. Detailed schedules for each training session will also be developed, and some time will be scheduled at the end of each training session in case more time is needed. There are a number of environmental factors that could influence our ability to carry out the training. We will have the ability to move the training to a virtual format in the case of unforeseen circumstances that prevent us from carrying out the training in person. There is a risk that we will exceed the budget. We have planned to spend significantly under budget so that we have a buffer of finances in case they are needed. There is a risk that the training will not be effective. We have created a number of checks and mini surveys that will be utilized throughout the training to ensure that participants are learning. There is a risk of participant absenteeism. While it is doubtful that this will be significant in a professional setting, we have reserved the final 2 weeks for makeup sessions in the event that there is a significant amount of absenteeism. Turnover within the project team is a possible risk. Succession planning is being performed for the project manager role so that a replacement can be found promptly if one is needed. If a trainer or software developer leaves, then his or her partner can take over full responsibility until a replacement is found. Finally, technological malfunctions are always a possibility. We will have backup computers and projectors available for the training sessions, as well as a software engineer present in case of any malfunctions. There have been a few changes that have taken place since we released the initial copy of the scope statement. The objectives have been reworded so that they are SMART goals. This means that they are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and have a time frame. The deliverables were adjusted to make them more specific, and sub-deliverables, such as developing questions for the final test, were added. Finally, we combined some of the sub-deliverables with other sub-deliverables to reduce any unnecessary steps. For example, listing work packages and sequencing work packages were combined into one step.
Thank you, Daniela, Taylor, Mallory, and Madison. In conclusion, as we come to the end of our fourth stage, our team is feeling optimistic about the remainder of the project. At the midway point, we have completed the initiation and the planning stage and are continuing to operate under budget. We were able to identify our constraints, which allowed us to make the proper revisions to set the project on the right path. Our milestones to date have been completed, and we are on track to meet upcoming targets. Our plans for next steps are clearly outlined and designed to stay within our budget. We have also identified potential risks to our project with proper mitigation strategies. At this time, we do not feel that we need to request any more time, money, or people to complete this project by its deadline. We would like to thank you for meeting with us today, and any questions about the project can be directed to the project management team. Thank you.